Hi, I'm Alan Tutt, and this video is the third in a series that I'm calling Professional Manifesting 101. If you haven't yet watched the previous two videos in the series, I highly recommend that you do that first before watching this video so you can get the most out of this video. I'll link to a playlist up here in the corner that includes the first two videos plus this video. That way you can watch them in order and get the most out of this series. On the same idea here, if this is the first video you've watched off my entire channel, I highly recommend that you watch some of the other videos first, because this series of videos is building on the foundation that has already been laid by previous videos. I'll link to another playlist up here called The Science of Manifesting Revealed, because that series of videos covers what manifesting is, how to do it, some of the pitfalls involved in manifesting, and how to get the best results you can from your manifesting efforts. This series of videos are talking about how to develop the skills that you take into the manifesting processes, which have already been covered. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, this particular video, we're going to be talking about what you can do to increase the level of faith that you have and have that level of confidence that what you want to manifest will in fact manifest. We're going to be talking about things that you can do on a physical level, things that you can do on a mental level, and things that you can do on an emotional level to help boost your faith and make it so you are completely confident that what you want to manifest will in fact manifest. Now, obviously, confidence and faith go beyond manifesting. There are so many uses in our lives for confidence and faith. When you have this strong level of faith that things are going your way, you will not experience a lot of negative emotions such as anxiety, depression, boredom, a feeling of, why bother, what's the use, which are so common in people who have very low levels of faith. You will also find that when you boost up your faith, you will receive other benefits. One of the most important benefits is that your relationships will improve, because being a positive, upbeat, outgoing person who is full of confidence is a very fun person to be around. So when you increase your level of confidence, people like to be around you more often. You will also find that your health improves, because when you have that level of confidence that things are working, you're not filled with stress like you would be otherwise, and you're not wasting a lot of energy preparing for things that just simply aren't going to happen. So there's a lot of other benefits to improving your level of faith beyond just the manifesting process. Okay, so now that we've got all that covered, let's go ahead and get started. On a purely physical level, I want to start here like I've started my other two videos, and that is just a reminder that we are physical beings. We have a physical body, and whatever helps our physical body operate at peak efficiency will also help our brain and our mind. So you want to make sure to take care of things like food, water, fresh air, exercise, and sleep, and make sure that you are good in all of those areas, because all of that is going to make your manifesting efforts much more effective. If you'd like more detail on what I suggest in these areas, I recommend that you go back to that first video that I talked about in this series about focus, establishing a clear focus, because in that video we really went into depth into those 5 ideas. Okay, so assuming that you've already got that covered, what other physical things can we do to increase our faith? One of the best things that we can do to establish a firm level of faith is something that I talked about in the previous video on establishing a deep level of feeling and connection with the world around us. And that is to make physical contact with physical objects in the environment that you're in, whether it's a tree, whether it's a rock, whether it's the ground beneath your feet, whether it's the chair that you may be sitting on, whether it's a desk or some other surface in front of you, whether it's even your own body, just becoming focused on things that are obviously true and real helps to establish a connection with what is true and real. And the ideas of truth and reality come up in your mind, and the feelings of truth and reality come up in your body just by making physical contact with the things around you. So this is just one seed of a process. It's the seed, it's the starting point. It's not the entire thing. It's the seed that's going to grow into a level of faith that can move mountains. You have to start somewhere. So start with what is already real and true in your world. Focus on the feeling that you get when you think about what is real and true. And also compare that to the feeling that you get by thinking about things that are just completely imaginary. Things like unicorns, things about pixies, things like just whatever is completely out of the realm of reality. By noticing how you feel about the imaginary stuff, the fictional stuff, and then how you feel about the reality that is actually around you, notice the difference in feeling. And then pay attention to the feeling that you get with the things that are real. Now, that is going to be something we're going to cover a little bit later in this video when we get into the emotional side of bringing up that level of faith. But the physical side, getting contact with the things around you, is where it all starts. Okay, so we've got that. There are physical anchors, triggers that we learn about in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that are tied to confidence and faith. Some of the things that we naturally associate with confidence are things like standing up straight, speaking out with a clear voice, smiling, having good posture. All of these kind of things are things that we naturally do when we do feel confident, when we do feel a level of faith. And by using the association that is within our minds between the action and the mental feeling state, we can create the mental feeling state by doing the actions that are associated with it. So anything that you would normally do when you're confident, those are things that you can choose to do when you're not confident to bring up a level of confidence and faith within yourself. So anything that inspires confidence is a good thing, not just physical body movements, but also objects in the space around you. If you have ever won an award, there's a good idea as far as displaying the awards that you've won. If you have achieved a particular goal in your life, having some representation of that success in the environment around you can be a good way to help you maintain a higher degree of confidence and faith. This is one reason why people display certain status symbols in their office, not just for the visitors to impress them, but also to impress their own subconscious mind that, hey, I have already done this. Hey, I am in the company of greatness. I mean, portraits of famous people up on the wall can be a good way to create a mental association with confidence and success. And of course, that mental association is triggered by the physical objects in the space. The same thing can be true with displaying works of art, especially the expensive works of art. Those are the status symbols. By knowing that you can acquire such things, that helps to build a level of confidence and faith within yourself. Now, I understand, and I have been in the position of being so far down in the poverty realm of life that that type of thing was completely out of reach, and that's okay. Just do what you can when you can, build up layer by layer, layer by layer, layer by layer, and you will eventually get to a point where you can have those expensive works of art displayed in the environment around you to remind yourself of the success that you have achieved. It all starts at a base level and you build from there, step by step, step by step. Okay, so that is how we can develop confidence. Now, faith Even though it is a form of confidence, it is also a confidence in non-physical realities. It is essentially what most people would call a spiritual confidence, a confidence in a spiritual reality, a non-physical, metaphysical reality. Whether you want to call that spiritual or something else, doesn't matter what term you use. We're just simply talking about believing in a power that goes beyond your physical essence. And so anything physically that helps to remind you of that non-physical reality and to help you remember that, yes, these things have a long history because they work. That's really the bottom line here. And anything that you associate within your own mind with spiritual power, with this non-physical power. For some people, it might be going to a church, going to a spiritual center of some sort. And it doesn't even have to be a building. For some people, just going to certain places on the earth, like Sedona and other places that are supposedly known. And I will say supposedly because there's different levels of knowingness, there's different levels of reality, and not everyone accepts this idea. So there are certain places on the earth that are associated with sources of non-physical power. And so by going to one of these places, you can tap into that association and trigger that feeling of faith and confidence within yourself. Places will do this. Sometimes certain activities will do this. If you have grown up in a culture where certain rituals are performed in order to access this non-physical level of reality, then performing those rituals can help you connect with that level of reality and boost your faith in that non-physical reality. Things like praying with the rosary beads is one idea here. Another avenue of this, another association that is often used, crystals, candles, incense, oils. These are things that are often associated with a non-physical power that can be used to manifest our desires into reality. So you can use a lot of these symbols, especially the symbols that you believe in. Now, it's no good to use a symbol that someone else believes in that you have no confidence in. That will not work for you. And that's why I use the word supposedly with some of these things, because unless you believe in it, it's not going to work. So just because someone else believes in it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you unless you have some other belief that can bridge the gap. So I'm going to leave that there because that gets into a whole other topic that we really don't want to spend our time on in this particular video. Okay, so a lot of physical symbols that can be used to help boost faith. We've just covered that. There are also mental symbols that you can use inside your mind that do not require a physical object to activate. As an example, a lot of these physical symbols that I just talked about, like crystals, candles, oils, incense, and even things like pyramids and drawings that are symbols of different things, those types of symbols can be imagined within your mind. And by imagining that symbol and connecting that symbol with the thing that you want to manifest can bridge a gap between the power of the symbol and what you want to manifest. And there are ways of using that to boost up the power of what you want. One quick example. Okay, this will be a lot clearer if I actually do an example of this. Okay, let's say that you are in the middle of a manifesting process and you have relaxed, you've gone within, you've made that connection with the non-physical level of reality. You have imagined what you want to manifest in rich, vivid detail. You have a strong connection with this idea within your mind. And now you want to anchor this in with the feelings of confidence and faith. And so just that phrase alone, anchor it in. Sometimes this idea of what is real, what is obviously true, gets into a feeling of solidity. When you touch physical objects, they have a solidness to them. One example of an object that has incredible solidity to it is a boat anchor. And so a boat anchor can be a mental symbol of this idea is being planted in this space and it is not going to go anywhere. And so inside your mind, you can imagine the experience that you are working to create, encapsulate it into a bubble, tie a chain to it, and drop anchor into this area of where things are true. That gets into a couple different symbols there. It gets into the boat anchor as far as placing it into a spot. It also gets into a symbol of places inside the mind. This is something that is often used in a lot of hypnosis therapy, where you have places in the mind, a place where things are true, a place where things are not true, a place of where things that used to be true but are no longer true, a place where things that may possibly be true sometime in the future. And so when you want to manifest and you like the idea of using places in the mind, it's not a requirement, but it is a possibility. It is an option. If you like that idea, then you can place this into the place where things are true, anchor it to that spot, tie a rope to it, put bricks around it, keep it in that spot any which way you want to. Just make sure that it is rooted into that spot like a tree, which is another example of another symbol that can be used. Roots that keep things where you want them to be. So all sorts of different symbols that can be used there. I cannot cover all of them, so I would like you to take what I've just suggested and use that as a springboard, another symbol that can be used to launch you into this whole new world of thinking, a whole new world of possibilities that give you the power and the tools to bring symbolism to bear on any project that you want to work on. So that kind of covers a lot of the mental aspects of boosting your faith by bringing in symbols that represent faith, bringing in symbols that represent power, bringing in symbols that represent truth. All of these type of symbols can be used within your mind in the manifesting process itself to lock in another symbol. The idea of what you want to happen will in fact happen. We can use a variety of other tools. I mean, we all know about affirmations. I think we all know about affirmations. Statements about what you would like to manifest as if it is currently real and true. And so affirmations can be a good way of boosting your faith. And a great affirmation that I highly recommend is the affirmation of I can and I will. I can have this thing and I will have this thing. I can do this thing and I will do this thing. I can and I will. It's a very powerful affirmation. It's one that I spent another video talking about. I'll link to that one up here as well. And it's a very powerful affirmation that can be used for anything you want to manifest. Affirmations are just one way of manifesting things. Visualization is another thing that we know about and I just talked about. So I'm not really going to cover that here. Just know that in the visualization process, the way that you visualize things makes a difference. You want to visualize things as if they are physical reality that you're right in the middle of. So the things that you see as you look around you, you want to be able to visualize your outcome with as much clarity, with as much detail, as much as possible, and make it as real as you can. Make it hyper real if that is possible. So visualization, you want to do that. But another thing about visualization, especially when you have a situation that you want to change. Now, it is possible to just completely ignore the old situation and imagine the situation that you want to create and focus all of your attention on that. And that is a great way to manifest a particular outcome. But another way that is also possible is to take the old situation and mentally deconstruct it and replace it with the new situation. And when you do this, it is important to visualize things in proper perspective. Perspective is highly important in the visualization process. You do not want to imagine a problem as this big, huge, overpowering thing, because that puts it in a higher, more powerful position than you are. You want to reverse that and imagine yourself as the big, powerful giant dealing with this tiny little thing down in the ground, down in the sand, playing in the sand, like a child in the sandbox. Play with the problem and say, okay, this is a minor thing. I'm going to be able to handle this. I'm just going to wipe that out and replace it with something else. This is exactly what I did back when I dispersed a tornado. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, I have developed the ability to influence weather, and I tend to use it to make sure that we have good weather for outdoor events. Nice sunny skies, warm temperatures, not too much of a breeze, a dry ground most of the time, all of those kind of things that you want if you're doing an outdoor event. Well, there was a time when I was back in Kansas City, just a real quick story here. I was living with someone who had a lot of pets. We saw on the TV news that a tornado was headed our way. She was starting to gather all the animals together to take down into what was essentially the basement of the house. And I said, okay, hang on. Let me give this a try. I think I can do this. So I sat down, I relaxed, I visualized the tornado, and I visualized it as this tiny little thing. And I waved my hands in my mind and just dispersed the tornado and said, be gone, be gone, be gone. You're no longer here. And I replaced that with the idea of a clear set of skies, a clear environment. And within 5 minutes, the TV news reported that the tornado was gone. So that is the power that we have within ourselves when we place things in proper perspective. Now, one of the reasons why I shared that story, and the reason why I share a lot of other stories on this channel, is because when we hear stories about what other people were able to accomplish, that helps us boost our faith as well. So by hearing the fact that I was able to do this thing, you now have a shifted level of faith about what is possible. And when you realize that these things are possible for one human being, it's also possible for you as well. And in fact, there was a class that I taught I think it was last year. Yep, it was last year. And we were talking about some of these ideas, and I shared the example of controlling weather and stopping the rain and that type of thing. And the next week, 2 of the students came back to that class and reported that they had also done the same thing. So this is not something that's just me. I'm not anything special in this regard. I had to do a lot of work to develop my ability to manifest certain things, and it all boils down to believing that it's possible. So if I could overcome my limitations and make this stuff happen, I know you can as well. So reviewing stories about other people who have done similar things to what you would like to do is another way of boosting your faith. And that is also done on a mental level. Okay, so I think we've covered enough on this mental level of things that you can do. On the emotional level, okay, I mentioned in the physical category of things that when we touch the physical objects around us and really engage with our environment and notice the things that are real and how that's the feeling of that is different from imaginary things that we might think about, it brings up a level of feeling within ourselves. Now, there is that sensation feeling. Like I said, the things around us have a density to them, a feeling of solidity to them, a feeling of weight to them. And that feeling aspect is part of what I feel when I think about things that are real and true. There's also other feelings involved as well. There's a feeling of placement. For instance, when I think about something that is obviously real and true, I feel that down below in the base of my gut. It's like it's grounded in reality. And things that are not true, that are maybe possibly could be true, I feel that as something floating in the air above my head. Light wispy smoke is the feeling that I get with that type of an idea. So for me, the difference between reality and fiction is also connected to a feeling of weight down here or a feeling of lightness up here. So that's one aspect of the feeling of truth and reality. As you explore these ideas for yourself, you will notice what feelings you get when these concepts are represented within your mind, when you have a emotional reaction and response to these ideas. So when you notice the emotional feeling or the sensations of truth and reality, you can focus your mind on those feelings and imagine them growing stronger. Imagine that heavy weight growing heavier. Imagine that lightness growing lighter, whichever way works for you. If you have a sensation of light with truth and darkness with falsehood, or the other way around, it doesn't matter. It's whatever way your mind encodes this information. If you notice a sensation of light, then you can imagine that light brighter or darker, depending on which way you want to go with it. If you have a sensation of sound, like truth feels like a higher pitch or a lower pitch, and falsehood is the opposite of that. You can imagine that pitch, that sound growing louder or becoming deeper or higher pitched, depending on what works for you. If you have a feeling of texture, like one concept, truth or falsehood, one concept is smooth and the other concept is rough, you can imagine that texture more detailed, more enhanced, more emphasized. That's the word that I'm looking for. You can emphasize those elements of the feelings that you get with truth and reality. And again, the emotional component of that is important as well. Not just the sensations, but the emotion that you get with that, because sometimes, in fact, I think it's a lot of times, I haven't really talked to enough people about the emotional side of it to know, but I have this strong feeling that a lot of us feel a positive sense of joy when we are thinking about things that are true. And things that are falsehood, we kind of feel a little bit like not just disconnected, but also repulsed by that dishonesty. So those emotional components are also important as well. In fact, as you explore this idea, please post in the comments how you interpret these ideas, truth, reality versus falsehood and fiction. What are the emotions that you feel in regards to that? I would love to get more information about that so I can be a little bit more informative in my future videos. Okay, so we've got that out of the way. So in terms of the emotions, again, focus on what emotions and feelings that you get with the feelings of, or with concepts of truth and reality. Imagine them growing stronger. Imagine them growing stronger. Spend time really getting into the feeling aspect of this and just allow that feeling to become strong, become intense, and allow it to become a part of who you are. Because when you allow these feelings, this concept, to become a part of your self-identity, this is who I am. I am a person of confidence. I am a person of faith. This really does shift your beingness. It shifts your energy. It shifts your belief system. It shifts your thinking. It shifts everything about you, so that when you do go through life, you do go through life with more confidence, with more faith, and it becomes that much easier to apply faith to whatever it is that you would like to manifest. It's like anything else. The more we engage in an emotion, the easier it is to continue in that emotion. This refers back to another video that I did. I'll link to that one up here about how I created a string of good luck by shifting my emotions away from anger into a feeling of love. So by focusing on the feeling of faith and by amplifying that and identifying with that and allowing that feeling to change you on a fundamental level, that will also change your experience of life. So I believe that covers everything that I wanted to cover in this video. If you would like more information on how to actually manifest your desires into physical reality, again, I do have a number of videos on this channel that you can watch that gives you some information on that. But if you truly want to master the art and science of manifesting to the highest professional degree, I have a course that walks you through the process step by step by step by step on the Power Keys Publishing website. The course is called Divine Dynamics. It's a 13-week program that is structured so that you get the most benefit as quickly as possible, and then everything just builds and fine-tunes that, polishes it as you go. So in the very first week, you get the biggest benefits. The second week, you also get a strong benefit. In the third week, you also get a strong benefit, but each week is maybe just a little bit more of a fine-tuning. It's not as big of a change. So even just 1 month in this program can make a huge difference in your life. So the Divine Dynamics program is part of a membership program that I have on the Power Keys Publishing website, and the membership is less than $50 a month. You're welcome to come over, become a member, check it out. If it's not for you, there's a money-back guarantee. You can always get a refund. So, well, I won't say always. There's a 1 month, a 30-day refund period if you sign up for the monthly program. So I'd love to see you there. If not, maybe I'll see you in another video. Either way, until next time, be blessed, my friend.